What's good? What is good? What is good? I am Damo, the political plug. This is the Chop Up Show. I'm here with my dog, Toya G. How are you doing today, Toya?
Another Saturday in the neighborhood, but it's June. It's June. It's getting these weeks are passing. We're getting closer to a lot of important things. Father's Day, Juneteenth, and the birth of yours truly. So we out here. You know what I'm saying? It's a good time. We getting a lot of good things done. Hopefully y'all are in full summer mode because despite the hoodie I got on and that the plug got on, we are um and
A little
enjoying
toasty.
life. It's good to
Yeah,
be here.
yeah. It's a little toasty. It's a little toasty. But we out here. It's Pride Month, so shout out to everybody celebrating Pride. Shout out to all our queer folks. You know what I'm saying? Getting it in, enjoying yourself this month. What's up?
I was saying thank you. You were
Yes,
thanking me. I was
yes,
appreciating it. No
yes.
problem.
But also this month is Men's Mental Health Month, which actually I got put up on game just recently. You know what I mean? Which
Mm-hmm.
speaks to a lot of issues. You know what I'm saying about that even being publicized and men's mental health even mattering like that, which is why we chose to have this conversation today, and really talk about men, specifically Black men's mental health. And what I think a lot of us would agree kind of interferes and impacts that heavily is how we understand and how we interpret masculinity. You feel me?
Also,
So, Miss Ma'am is in the building. Thank you for joining us, Miss Ma'am. We just getting
big love.
started. And then, as y'all know, when y'all hit, you know what I'm saying, when y'all come in, hit the like button, say what's up in the chat, you know, as we get the
Please.
ball rolling and everything else. So, uh, today, as we talk about Black men's mental health specifically, we're going to dive into this conversation about masculinity, how it's understood, and the role that it plays in how we deal with masculinity specifically for the Black man. And to really get into that conversation, there are actually three scenarios. There are three scenarios that we are going to take a look at to help us kind of understand uh, uh, how masculinity responds to certain things that black men do, and the impact,
Mm.
right, that it could have on those black men specifically. Now, our first couple examples are celebrities. So you know, what I mean, they have certain things that they able to use to kind of work through that. But for regular, I mean, I'm gonna just say it. We 3 minutes in, yeah. For regular niggas, you know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
impact, it hit a bit different. You feel me? And so Toya actually put me on game on a situation that's happening on Twitter with Bun B, right? Go ahead and go ahead and set us up for as we get into this first clip that we're gonna take a look at with the situation with Bun B, Toya.
Shout out to Peaches 2004 in the comments. Was good with you. Happy that you slid up in here. Everybody else in the comments, make sure if you're watching, you say what's good. Hit that thumb. In terms of this situation with Bun B, I'm actually uh pretty sure. I'm actually certain now that the sentence has been rendered. The case is over. The case is closed. But Bun B had an incident where an individual attempted to perform a home invasion. As a result, uh, or in the act of the home invasion, rather, held Gumby's wife Queenie at gunpoint. Um, Also attempted to steal some things, made a lot of threats. Long story short, um, happy endings for all intents and purposes. Bumby was able to not only beat up the assailant but shoot them and hold them until the police were able to arrive. The individual was sent to jail and was subsequently put in a position to serve 40 years now, or is has received a 40-year sentence. So open and closed case. It was pretty clear, and so Bumby recently took the stand in that case to explain what happened, to relive that moment, to tell a little bit about how he was impacted because nobody wants to shoot anybody. Well, I mean, the world we live in is a little
Right,
weird, but
right, right.
people who are trying to do and be on the right side of right, which is most of us, don't want to shoot nobody, don't want to be all aggressive, but will do anything and everything to protect their home and protect the people in it. And so that castle doctrine becomes something else. And so in recounting kind of what was happening in that, we see the footage that the plug is pulling up here.
All right, so on trial, Bun B got up there and he testified, right? And he spoke about the actual situation with him and what he went through and where his mindset was. And we gonna see like the emotions that he displayed and like the like really the vulnerability that he put on display when he got up there, and then we're gonna take a look at how people responded. So let's take a look at the clip.
She can't communicate, and I get so angry all again because she didn't deserve it. She didn't ask for this. She didn't ask for this. The next morning, she got out of bed and went down to the kitchen, and I heard her scream, and I went down to see what was wrong, and she had her back turned. And she was crying, and I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? She was like, I can't. She was just shaking furiously. I can't. I was like, well, you can't. She's like, I can't look at those stairs. And it was from that point where we realized like she couldn't even be in that house anymore.
And has it been hard and caused some strain in our relationship?
It is because, you know, there are times where she gets closed off.
All right, so clearly emotional, right? Like, I mean, as a married man, I don't really know how I would respond to seeing my wife with a gun on her. You know what I'm saying? Like that, yeah. And that's that's the type of situation that you don't ever want to see anybody in. You know, and you would empathize with the emotions that they displayed associated with that. But this is the type of response that we got from individuals on Twitter. All right. Y'all talking about codes. This is, I really don't even want to promote the nigga like that. So we don't really need to get into his name like that. But he said, y'all talking about codes. Y'all don't know shit about it. And it's clear. As a street nigga, you don't ever take the stand, period. I don't care if they slapped your mama. You leave it in the streets. Now, I do want to make sure y'all see his profile picture on Twitter, because one of the biggest responses on there is a nigga doing anime cosplay talking about street codes. Twitter got this world so fucked up.
Yeah, it's the wildest thing. Like he definitely got this you, because what are you talking about?
But,
like real niggas do, and this is what somebody pointed out. Like, because a lot of people say, "Oh, you." He was like, I think he responded and said something like, "I've done real things despite my history in cosplay." And it's like, okay, Mr. Real Things, like, why are you trying to go hard to prove that you this street nigga? Like, that's not something to valorize, and that's not something Bun B is even trying to be in this moment. Bun B had his time in the street. He had music that represented the street, but you don't know this man. You don't know what he's standing on, what his principles are, how he functioning and moving in his house. And so you so busy trying to be a street nigga, you're confusing street nigga with real nigga. This is what real niggas do. You are talking about the politics of a street nigga. We are looking at somebody who's being a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the confusion that people are tangling up in these responses, or what he should have done. He's a human being.
Yeah, and I mean, I really don't get the whole the code shit, right? Because I feel like when, like, as rational people, you know what I mean, as civilians as we call, like, we don't look at the logic that niggas approach criminality with and be like, that makes sense. You feel me? Now, in certain instances, where it's like, I gotta sell, you know what I'm saying? I'm selling dope because I'm trying to pay bills, whatever, right? That niggas can get. You feel me? But when it comes to this idea that in situations like that, even like, again, because it's like Bun B, like what, 50 something years old?
Gotta be
like,
easily 50
easy,
plus.
Easy. And you talking
he's
about
a business owner. He's an ambassador for
a worldwide phenomenon. Like UGK is known worldwide, like a musician.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hello?
And you up here talking about leave it in the street. Bun B ain't been in the streets for generations.
Yeah.
So like where does this conversation even come from? Because it's like, yeah, you got niggas that's still there, and it's really by God's graces, because niggas with sense don't really last long in the or niggas without sense don't last long in the streets anyway.
Don't last long anyway. Exactly. What's good, Donnell? What's good?
And by the time you hitting your 50s and something like that, nigga, if you still gang banging and talking about like leaving shit in the streets, bro, like, listen, your input is not needed. It's not necessary. There's no respect on your name. Like if you still gang banging in your 50s, you can't expect for niggas to look at you with any type of respect. I mean, we could be like, damn, like you made it, my nigga. Like most niggas don't continue to do this shit for 30 fucking years, for 40 years, a lot of these niggas, and then live that long through it, or live on the streets that long through it. So I think it's crazy. And this is one of the things that I talk about when it comes to social media and Twitter, to you. The conversations that become relevant, the conversations that become loud, you know what I'm saying? Like it comes from like the dumbest mindset. Like the complete lack of real logic and like this attempt to display some like whatever internal philosophy niggas feel like they rock with. You know what I mean? But this type of
like, isn't it always interesting when you can see like disconnected issues but come to a collective conclusion? Like these are the niggas who are voting for Donald Trump. Like I don't know and I can't explain it, but you're just able to be like, you're the ones who are like, we got the checks and those are good with me.
These are the niggas, yeah. Like these are the niggas that say, yeah, now that Trump they got locked up, hell yeah, I could fuck with him.
Yeah, yeah, those guys.
The niggas that I be like, stay away from a ballot. Stay away from a ballot box.
Absolutely.
Stay away from a polling place, my nigga. Please.
Yeah. We don't know if you really meant it in the first place, but please don't. Please don't.
So that was the first example, right, of how socially niggas think it's acceptable to respond to certain situations, right? This next example is a little bit older, but we all heard it, we all dealt with it, and that was the damn near crucifixion, excuse me, of J. Cole. Okay. And why did J. Cole get crucified, Toya?
Because he changed his mind. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I think I could be quoted. I think I might even have been quoted on this show originally, at the very least, being like, yeah, you can't do that. Like, what is this about? Like, that shit is gonna come back to bite you. But ultimately, he picked a fight that he no longer wanted to be a part of. Word on the street is he got word that this was not the type of situation he wanted to stick around for. But more importantly, he felt like it wasn't true to his character. And so he said, I'm good on that, and took back the things that he said. Was it the drill?
7-minute drill, yeah.
7-minute drill. I almost said 5. 7-minute drill. Took it all back, and now you can't barely find it. Of course, you can find it because the internet's the internet, but it's not on any of his posting or streams.
He took it off everything. So here is J. Cole's apology, and then we're gonna talk about how that apology was responded to after the fact. Let's go.
I me back up on my purpose and on my path. You know what I mean? I pray that my nigga really didn't feel no way. And if he did, my nigga, I got my chin out. Take your best shot. I'm gonna take that shit on the chin, boy. Do what you do. You know what I mean? Like, all good. Like, it's love. And I pray that, y'all are like, forgive a nigga for like the misstep, and then I can get back to my true path. Cause I ain't gonna lie to y'all. The past 2 days felt terrible. Like, it let me know how good I've been sleeping for the past 10 years. So all of that to say, man, I want to now perform the song that's a reminder to me of getting back on the right path and getting in tune with God. And the name of the song is called Love Yours. I'm for y'all right now.
All right, now, yeah, that was the second half of the apology where he actually got into the song. But his act, like, the nigga straight up said, we fuck with Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? Like, the nigga straight up said, like, that shit was corny. That was whack. You know what I'm saying? Me even doing that, like, I wasn't feeling it. I let niggas get in my ear. You know what I mean? And he was like, I'm good on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm good on it. Especially when you got a nigga literally saying that shit didn't sit right with me for doing it in the first place.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, again, for me, Toya, and you can talk about your initial reaction. When, like, I feel like the apology from J. Cole was much more authentic and him more so than the diss was. Just straight up. Like, I do not, like, when I heard the diss, and I know it was a lot of niggas that was like, yeah, that shit hard. I was like, nah, I'm not feeling it. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's you know what I'm saying? Like I some of the bars was truthful, and I was like, okay, I see why you would rap that. Some of them was completely false, like when the nigga said that To Pimp a Butterfly was whack. But all in all, it was just like, bro, this your man's. What is you doing? Like, this is you making a diss track to a nigga you said was like the definition between the Pretenders and the Kendrick Lamars, nigga, like the realest. So, J. Cole's
I
apology.
mean, when I encountered it, I can honestly say you were the one person. Like, you have a group, you usually you have that friend that's ahead. You know what I'm saying? And you were that friend in the group chat that was like, nah, I'm not good with this. This don't sit with me. This not it. Like not really being here for it or whatever. And I don't think you could have predicted that he was gonna take it back, but you did say, like, I'm just confirming, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that this is like the realer version of him. And you, if y'all know anything about Damo, like he's the quintessential J. Cole fan.
Without a
Has been
doubt.
for a long
Facts.
time. The only reason I had the nerve to listen to Forest Hills Drive was because he was like, "You know, J. Cole is amazing."
That
Da-da-da-da-da.
nigga. That
Was
nigga. Yeah.
was the commercial for the dude. So I'm
Yeah.
like, man, if you saying this is a diehard, something to consider. Now, my issue and where I disagree with the plug, even though I respected his perspective on his favorite artist, was that, like, I just felt like when it's all said and done, J. Cole disrespected the gang's personship of it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, you disrespected the battle nature. This is the game you chose. This is what you do. You know what I'm saying? It's like if a nigga wants you one-on-one in basketball, if I seen the little drills in football where you lay on your back and then
Oklahoma
the ball
drill.
be in the middle.
Yeah, the Oklahoma drill.
Yeah, and then they be and you got to get up and go and do, like, it's a way to solve these things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's a way people figure out what's really good in your craft and in your lane. And so I felt like that was just a major violation of the domain you stepped in. You know what I'm saying? And for the sake of that, and I'm really big on, man, like, ain't nothing just nothing no more. Like, nothing got a code, nothing got a creed, nothing got some shit. Like, everything is changed for real, everything.
Yeah.
Right? Ain't no don't kill the old people, don't kill the people that ain't bother nobody, no babies, no. You know what I'm saying? The code has changed on, I feel like everything. So for this, I was like, damn, we can't even have rap beats without niggas doing the hokey pokey, man, and turning themselves all around.
Now,
But
that's a great segue. That's a great segue. Because when we talk about Cole and we talk about
Donnell,
Cole.
real quick, I want to point out Donnell's comment. He said, Donnell, they said, honestly, I heard the apology before I heard the diss track and just decided not to even hear it. Me too. I didn't hear 7 Minute Drill until like 2 weeks ago. I'm not even going to bullshit. Shout out to DMG the poet. I was acting
DMG.
along with everybody else. Like,
Yeah.
what's good with you? And then this man said he also invited K-Dot to get his lick back and that he would take it on the chin. That's real as hell.
That's what
too.
we played. That's what we played. Yeah. He was like, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Toya brought it back to ain't nothing on code no more, right? And I feel you to certain degrees, but at the same time, as leftists, as black progressives, we would agree that it's certain code that we have needed to move away from that actually hasn't been to our benefit. And in both of those situations, like this code of the streets, not snitching, even if it happened to your mama and all of that shit. And then in the situation with J. Cole apologizing because he knew he got something wrong, where I feel that created the animosity and the beef with those responses is hypermasculinity.
Mm-hmm.
It is the you gotta stand strong even when it hurt everybody around you. It is I gotta hold on to this code even when I'm putting somebody else, you know what I'm saying, in harm's way. And or I gotta stand strong and do this even if it don't feel right to me. Think about it. Hip hop is supposed to be authentic. It's about authenticity, if anything else. So if a nigga say to the highest degree. So if a nigga say I made this track, it don't sit right with me, so I'm not gonna stand on it. And niggas is like, no, stand on it, because it's a battle culture, it's beef, it's rap. No, nigga, like that shit don't feel real. And
I think, and to be fair, my response was like, which part? Like, none of it? Like, you said it there for 7 minutes, none of it, nigga? Like, what are you saying to me?
Yeah,
the spirit of I just had so many other questions. Like, why would you go in there? Like, at minutes 4, you weren't like, Jermaine, stop it.
But
like, what is it?
because I like that's what I'm saying. I think it is that it's that knee jerk reaction to defend yo, I gotta defend my manhood. You know what I'm saying? Like we saying, because like in rap it was easier to disguise because we was like, oh, I gotta defend myself as an MC. You feel me? But I mean, the beef with Nicki Minaj and Meg Thee Stallion, that like niggas just let that be what it is. Like they said what they said, and then nobody else. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't no more. Hey, shit, you ain't gonna respond. You ain't gonna do this. You feel me? Like it isn't any more of that. And so what I'm seeing, like really as a black man, what I'm seeing in what I saw in that beef and what I see in real life is the inability for a nigga to like go with what vibes with him and not what this like notion of manhood is demanding. Like, because if you think about it the same way, how many fights did niggas get into when they could have just walked away? But it like, oh, what niggas gonna say about me? Niggas gonna think I'm this. Niggas gonna think I'm that.
Yeah,
and how
once
many
you get to a certain point, I don't want to fight. Is like what are you saying? That's not an option. We're fighting.
Right, like that.
And that's unfortunate. I'm saying it to say like that. It really is sad that can't be the response. Because I mean I know it's a lot of people who too, and I think about this ironically, and I think this also fits and folds into black masculinity because we're dealing with a black woman. I'm actually about to speak on a black woman who has been masculinized, overly masculinized, and I'm getting the chance to listen to Coming Home by Brittany Griner. And a lot of her recounting her perspective is about being big and black and having a fight because people think when you big and black, you want to fight, right? Like, so all of the time that you spend having to be your body, having to be what is projected on your body and having to being down with being physical. And half the time you ain't even that, you're not, but it's on you. And what do you do when it comes down to it? Fighting is not aggression only. It is also protection, very muchly. And so I'm not just about to sit here and let you pop off and go crazy on me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, I guess I do like to fight because I like to my face and I like to leave how I came and I like to, you know what I'm saying? Like be left alone and all that type of shit. So I'm just, as we think about, you know, the desire to want to leave and walk away, this is a lot of people fighting in this world who never wanted to fight to begin with, but their body magnetizes that.
Yeah, I mean, to the point you don't have a choice, right? Yeah. And this is where I say, this is where I say, Matt, like that attaching violence to masculinity type shit also like plays out the way it played out with the J. Cole shit was because it's like that is an example of somebody getting into a conflict they really didn't want to get into, but not being able to get out of it because of the entertainment of others. You feel me? It's just like it was an old Twitter video of some kids about to fight in the street, and this old head walk up and be like, hold on, y'all, like before y'all do this, before y'all fight, I want you to look around, y'all. Look at everybody holding up their phones. He laughing. Mm-hmm. Pointing to the fact that the main people egging it on is really only for their entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like this idea of being on code or this idea of like what your manhood look like, all of that is like in these type of instances is entertainment for other niggas. You feel me? And so that gets us
literally, it is a culture around watching fight videos. Like there's a whole leg of entertainment on social media that's committed to you being able to watch people beat the shit out of each other. Nameless, faceless, don't know the background, don't know the situation, don't know why they fighting, don't know what happened after the fight. We just really want to see if you can throw them hands.
Now look, we got one more situation. And I'm telling y'all, Toya is like the Twitter OG. Like she knows like I'll be like, man, ain't nobody talking about this. And she'll be like, yes, they are, nigga.
Wait.
But all right. And I want to hear y'all input on this. This would be the best time for if you ain't chimed in, if you ain't said nothing in the chat, this would be the best time for you to do it. A situation where a man is going viral for cutting off his homeboys for not checking on him after his back surgery. All right. So the tweet said, I just blocked and deaded friendships with 4 of my homeboys. I had back surgery literally a whole month ago, and not one of those niggas checked in on your boy. I ain't say shit. I just blocked and let it be what it is. Niggas wasn't my real friends. Toya, what was the Twitter response to that nigga saying that?
So, I mean, a lot of people were like, as you should. Exactly. Great job. A lot of those people were women. And I won't even say a lot of, but it was some men in there that's like, that's real. But there was a lot of guys who, one, if they didn't take issue with the fact that he was willing to just kind of cut off the whole friendship based on that, they were like, the way you did that was sassy. you did that real. You didn't say nothing to nobody. You didn't even talk to them about it. You just kind of cut them off and moved on. Like, sure, take issue with the fact that your friends weren't being good friends to you, but the way you did that was, it was gay. It was zesty, is what the people were saying.
All right, and I mean, as well as the niggas that was just like, nigga, you want niggas to come visit you in the hospital? Like,
Yeah, and then it was just some people that was just straight up like, why does that matter to you? Like, that's not for me. A lot of people was like, that's not my job. Like, or a lot of people try to flip it. I don't want to be in the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just get up with you when you are in a better position, in a better space. That's for mamas and baby mamas and wives and kids and stuff like that. I don't need to be up there.
J Universe said, I block people for less. Good for him.
Good riddance, yo. Good for him.
And
like,
you do have a sister that came in and said, and in his comments that were black men attacking this man, calling him feminine and sassy. This is exactly why our men don't have safe spaces. Let's not act like it's okay for you not to hear from your close friends when you're going through something. I hope more men come around and support him and be able to relate as well. Choose and pick your friends wisely. They should show up for you, check on you, and hell, at least call to see how you doing and feeling. All right. So definitely got the sister's perspective. From my perspective, I feel that nigga. I feel that nigga just straight up. Because here's the thing. The assumption is that, yeah, I as a man, I shouldn't care if people care about me. I should do all of this on my own. I shouldn't even expect people to check on me and see if I'm okay because I'm a man. I should be able to show to this all of this by my damn self. No matter how terrifying the idea of surgery is, no matter how terrifying the idea of back surgery and people having to work on this major part of my body, no matter how terrifying that is, I shouldn't expect the niggas that I get lit with, the niggas that I watch sports with, you know what I'm saying, the niggas that I debate about rap with, like I go to their kids' birthday parties, they come to my kids' shit. I shouldn't expect them niggas to give a fuck about me. What does that mean as a man to not expect anybody to give a fuck about you?
But check this out. I'm gonna tell you something that was really fascinating to me because, of course, on Twitter I saw a conversation just about the nature of relationships. Women do not like it when relationships lack depth. Like, bitch, why do I only know like you shady, you funny acting if you ain't really, there? And it's the whole idea is communication scholarship. And I brought this up before, the notion of report talk, which is what men do. They report, how's it going? How's the weather? The sports, the scores, the this, the that. Report talk versus what women do, which is rapport talk. How are you? How did you feel about that? Well, what's going on here? Well, why are you upset? Well, that's exciting news, right? It's this kind of feeling. Can you be a girl's girl? Can you really kind of do all the...
Can you be vulnerable in front
Can
of
you be the
vulnerable
nurturing, vulnerable, feminine person that you're supposed to be in this moment? Because if not, then that makes you defective. Whereas men, if you in the context of what I saw in this back and forth of the explanation of it, because that's my calm explanation of it, but the tweets were more so like men build relationships, strong relationships based off lack of depth. Like it's like depth versus breadth, right? If you know what breath, not breath, but breath, breath, breath is like the depth of something. Yeah. Right? I'm sorry, the vastness of something, whereas depth is the depth of a thing. Yeah. Men want a vastness of things. They want friends where I don't have to go too deep, but I can holler at you about this. I can do that. You can fix something with me. You can build something with me. You can help me solve a problem. We can talk about the boom, but we don't have to really get under the layers of things. And that's something cool. Also, we don't have to have a vastness of things as long as we have this thing that we can just really kind of get in and be there about. And so I don't disagree. I will just say, like, a lot of examples, and men was attesting to this, like niggas don't know when their friends' birthdays is and don't know like when important things are coming up, or like don't know last names and middle names and shit. Like important things, people are like, yeah, no, what do I need to know about all that about him? He cool. He don't bother nobody. He whatever. We come in here, we have a good time, we go about our separate ways. What is your take on it?
And this is why these modern notions of manhood bother me. Mm-hmm. Because everything you just said men do, I'm the complete opposite. Bro, I don't fuck with shallow-minded niggas. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what you know about me, like, you know my niggas. Like
Yeah.
these is like me and my partners have deep relationships. You know what I'm saying?
Relationships.
Like we see each other as family. Like fuck that friendship. Like that's my brother. Like for real, for real. You feel me? Like if I ain't gonna lie. Like if I was in the hospital, my back broke, and like Lee ain't called, like not conscious George. Y'all know consciously George. If that nigga didn't call me and check on me, bro,
Yeah,
it would be static, my nigga. Like, bro, I'm in the hospital.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like that's what I'm saying. Cause like to me, like
I mean, to the point where I like that I've been included in a little fold of it, but I like it because when something going on with one of them, the niggas be like, you talk to Lee.
Yeah.
But like they like, hey, we need to be there for this nigga. Like
Like I
it's
would
time
call
to be a
Toya,
friend.
you know what I'm saying, and be like, you talk to that nigga. Cause just so we all in the loop to know, like, hey, this like they need us. You feel me? And this is also why I say, like, I be telling my wife all the time, I don't want a lot of friends. I don't want that empty, shallow shit. I don't need it around me. You feel me? Either you contribute like in a way that's like uplifting in life, like we have deep conversations, like we build together, like we give each other advice and take advice. It's that, or it's like what's good with you?
Yeah,
right.
it ain't.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I ain't even about to be around you like that.
Stage in the game. If I'm making space for you and lugging you and pulling you along, man, you got to be an asset. What I got you around for if I can't really lay this on you real quick? If I can't really sit in here and kind of tarry with you and figure what's up, especially I ain't gonna lie, just as a queer woman, like I've designed and oriented my life to be very woman centric. So as a man, like, damn, if you can't like be my friend, like, what the fuck? What are you taking up space for? Because I have the benefit of dating romantically women, building healthy women's friendships. I'm a couple unfortunate instances away from going to a lesbian commune, and we're just gonna build over there together. We'll figure out how we come back to the rest of these niggas, but like, so if you're not adding value, if you're not making my life richer, I'll be honest. I'm not. I'm 5'1.5" and 200 plus pounds. Can you fight for me? Would you? Would you come help me? I never forget. The plug came and helped me put my little couch together. We flipped that bad boy over.
What?
And this man just the sweat labor. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me be to you what I know I can be to you in a way that makes you better. And then when it's time to sit, I done been a hideaway and a getaway. We ain't gonna tell too many stories, but it's like, where you at? I'm on the way. I'm coming. I need a safe space. I need a moment. I just need what you give. You got that for me? Of course. Come, you know what I'm saying? But like, what are we doing if we don't do that? If we can't do that? And this is just us. I would hope with your same gender friends you'd be able to do the same thing.
And that's why it's like people like Future, right? Like Future is the type of black masculinity that most niggas look at and be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's like Future that nigga. Because like, let's be real, he can't rap. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all personality based. It's like
Never been about that. Absolutely.
The things that he say. And as a person that like pay attention to lyrics a lot, like it's certain shit I can't get past. Rick Ross saying, I put Molly in her drink. She ain't even know it. Took her home with her. She ain't even know it. I'll never let niggas forget that nigga rapped that shit, because like that is some wild shit to rap, and it should never be considered acceptable. When that nigga Future said, I ride for my niggas, I lie to my bitch.
Crazy.
I ride for my niggas. I lie to my bitch.
Yeah.
Like what? So what are we talking about here? You feel me? Like we.
And you 40 and you 40 plus. Like at what point? When does it stop? And I think this is an important part of like the question, because we've asked these questions before. Like, when are you too old for hip hop? When are you too when do you age out of certain cultural components, whether you are an active entertainer or just a recipient of it, to be like, our criticisms of Drake has been, and people's criticisms of Drake has been, he has not grown with his primary audience that he started with. We
tap into the younger audiences. As long he would just, okay, cool, this is what the people listening to now, okay, cool, instead of like maturing with his audience. You're right.
And so like those are the questions that we ask ourselves about them and the culture that they propagate and that they pump out and that's created around it. Like,
niggas would never call that gay though. Niggas would never call that. A nigga saying I ride for my niggas, I lie to my bitch. Niggas would never say that that's gay.
Crazy.
But if we just align the criteria, that would be some gay shit to say. Like, you put like as heterosexual men, you putting your niggas in front of your woman.
Mm-hmm.
that
Probably.
would be considered some gay shit. But somehow, you know what I mean? Somehow, the same people that would tell old boy you shouldn't expect your friends to come through for you
Yeah.
would repeat this same lyric verbatim and not see any issues where that logic crash into each other.
Mm-hmm.
You expect your niggas to ride for you, but but nigga, I ain't about to like. Why? Don't expect nobody to show up for you at the hospital. I'm not fully understanding like how niggas rationalize that shit and like within these weird notions of masculinity. And so, we really want to use those conversations as a way to kind of understand how that logic operates. And I want to transition this part into the conversation about the impact that logic has on mental health. And the way we think about going about mental health, and especially like when a large part of it is like thinking people give a fuck about you. You know what I'm saying? But then we learning that men aren't to think that people give a fuck about them. Like it's that crazy. So I want to get into a conversation about like what men are taught about mental health. Now, as a woman, and as an observant woman that's kind of paid attention to these things, and then from the chat, I want to hear from y'all. Okay, hold on. Better Future just said this. He said in response to the lyric, he said, "I don't think it's considered gay because it's where the loyalty lies." Okay, that's my point, Better Future. If we care about the loyalty of our friends, why should we not expect them to check in on us if we in the hospital for surgery? It's more the issue in this situation. Nah, niggas shouldn't care about you. But in the situation when it got to do with your woman, you should be more loyal to your niggas than your woman. That's weird.
I mean, and I do. I feel like your woman, I don't know. I feel like this also is connected to the flippancy people have with their bodies, men have with their bodies at times. I don't think that it helps that you're willing to tell the truth and abide by people whom you wouldn't let touch you intimately, won't let you lean or lay too long, get the fuck away from me, do this and that. But somebody you sticking yourself in and letting them put their mouth all on you and this and that, that's the person you decide to deceive, that you decide to betray. And so this is where like heterosexual masculinity throws me off, because you don't give a shit about that part. In a lot of different instances, you are nothing to me. But this nigga right here, everything, right? And all we did was play a sport together or go to school together or do some grimy shit together. Something that should force me to probably question if I can trust him, because we did some shady shit to this nigga over here. So, right. But the one who's there waiting for you, making your home, producing your children,
who you put yourself in the most vulnerable situations with. I ain't got no.
And that you chose. That you chose. Sometimes you inherit friends, and so it's just like, you my nigga because you got to be, because we've been down since kindergarten, and like it would be crazy for me to just cut you loose. So yeah, this is a question of loyalty, but you chose her, so cut her loose. If you want to lie to her, just why is there a B word to begin with? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you have somebody around? It becomes more and more complicated, but it all comes back to this idea that like niggas don't be caring about what they do with their bodies for real, and that is peculiar behavior to me.
They don't. But getting back to the question though, what have you picked up on, or what would you say are things that you've noticed are in the social conversations about black men and mental health? Like how they're taught about mental health. Is that a conversation that you hear take place?
I won't pretend that it is completely like not happening, especially now. I think over time, and coming up, of course not. Like that definitely wasn't a part of the vocabulary. Being an F word and being gay, and that's gay and every creative way you can find to call somebody out for being effeminate.
No homo, yeah, all that shit.
All of that, is a huge part of my maturation. So when I think about kind of like how men are socialized to build relationships with themselves and other people and how to think about themselves, it's to me, it's always been concerning just because it seems tiring. Like I couldn't be like, I never forget. I had a conversation even with Ryan about how much harder it was to be a gay man than to be a queer woman. And I wanted to be like, nigga, like, you don't know nothing about how it is over here. It's hard over here. And he was like, girl. He was like, girl. He was like, girl. And it was one of those moments where you don't want to victimize yourself because you realize how ridiculously hard and the impossible level you playing the game on if you a gay black man, but the hard level you got to play on in the first place to declare those things, to decide you want to be those things, to just be adjacent to some of those things, to just like some innocent shit, to be in some innocent shit, to have certain mannerisms, to have certain ways of doing, existing, and being that I don't like. And I'm just like, that is tiring. Like, it's tiring for you to be gay. It would be tiring as fuck for you to not be gay, but to still do these certain things and have these certain effeminate behaviors. It's tiring watching niggas do very regular things, my straight friends, and be called gay and talk, and they gotta be defensive about it and laugh it off and act like everything is cool with it, but then ultimately be upset, not because they are, offended by gay people or anything like that, but it's just like, the fuck, like, I'm just me. Leave me alone. Because you're trying to call me weak. You're trying to call me a hoe. You really trying to, you know what I'm saying? That's really what it is.
That's really what it is. Yeah, you trying to test me on on real bullshit notions. You know what I'm saying, of masculinity.
That's where it starts to get rough. And so, like, what have I seen? What have I recognized? Like, just really, I be feeling for niggas when it's all said and done, even in the worst case. Because look at how you gotta act. Look at how you gotta respond to the world around you. Like, it's really sad. Yeah. It's really, really sad. And in those moments, I mean, even outside of frustration, anger, disappointment, a lot of what I come to is just how sad existence, man. Like, hard. I ain't, you know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to be facetious, but just difficult.
Nah, I mean, because like when I hear you say that, I agree that nowadays there's more of a conversation about men and like black men and mental health, like nigga go to therapy, that type of shit. But like back in the day, it was really, that conversation was dead. Like, nigga, you either a strong enough nigga to deal with this shit, eat that shit, and go on about your day, or you gonna bitch, whine, and complain. What's it gonna be? You gonna whine and complain about your life. You gonna whine and complain about your job. You gonna bitch about, nigga, you got kids to feed. Nigga, you gotta take care of yourself. You a man. You gotta have this. You gotta have that. And so, like, to be honest, like that whole you gotta be a man, like that understanding a man was probably like some of the worst thing to happen, or like to happen to black men. You feel me? Like whether it's like the politics of the plantation, whether it's trying to mimic the masculinity of white men in order to be seen as a man in a society where your personhood, let alone your gender, but your personhood has been robbed from you. Yeah, from like as black men, the reason why the streets become such a viable option is because of the threat of it. It's because of the violence. You know what I'm saying? It's because of the quick money and because of the lifestyle. Like that was like that perception of what it is to be a man. It's like, shit, I'm feeding my kids with this shit. You feel me? On both hands. Like niggas that brag about it and niggas that just say like, this is why I do it. At the end of the day, it come down to providing. You feel me? Because if you not providing, if you not taking care of your family, you know what I'm saying? Like if your woman make more money than you.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like what do you nigga, you supposed to change your reality or eat that. You feel me? But still allow this to dictate how you, like, literally how you see your manhood. And from that standpoint, it's like that, like the mental health conversation has literally been seen as an excuse for niggas to not take care of their responsibilities. Yeah. You feel me? Like it's an excuse for niggas to be sensitive. It's an excuse for niggas to push that, you know what I'm saying, that woman lifestyle. Because what's a huge, and this happened to me before, what's a huge critique on black men nowadays is, nigga, you was raised by all women.
Yep.
As if that limits how much of a man you could be because you was raised by a woman. You feel me? So
absolutely.
So I'm like, just like for anybody who, if you ever even asked that question, like what are men taught about mental health, is that shit, yo, like your mental health is tied up in whether or not you fit within this very narrow understanding of what a nigga gonna say a man is, or what a man should be. You feel me?
I mean, I think too, I mean, you get, the last thing I want to add about this before we move to the next part of the conversation is just like the glorification, especially in terms of black men, of one type of black man, right? Or not enough types of black men. I think when we see the prominence of black masculinity and what it looks like, you know, we do get stories and historical reflections on, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to, because there are 1,000 examples that people will be able to come up with, be like, what about this? What about this? What about this? But we all know the archetype of black masculinity, right? What it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like, the contours of it. And so you don't get to have these just regular black men and the shades of their black masculinity be celebrated as, you know, meaningful routes. Like there's a lot of people fighting to make sure that black men are scientists and doctors and in education and doing this, that, and the other. But for all of the people who are doing that, it's a lot of people just being still to this day, just being like, why are you not using your body? Why are you, you know what I'm saying, getting into these softer fields? Why are you willing to make a home, for example, and let her go out and make a whole lot of money? And so I feel like there are just so many limited versions for what masculinity gets to look like and what black manness gets to look like. So it's rough.
Toya, niggas will tell you that niggas that went to jail are more men than niggas that went to college. Niggas will fix
I
their lips
don't,
to say shit like that.
and as a woman, I just don't even, we don't have to, like, that's crazy.
So the next question we want to get into, and this will really help us round out the conversation, is when we're trying to deal with the issue of black men and mental health, things like suicide, depression, anxiety, which leads to higher heart rates, overall worse health. When we saying like, okay, this is something we need to attack, what role does masculinity play in that? How we understand from your perspective, how does how we understand masculinity impact either positive or negative? Because you said there was multiple notions, so maybe some of those notions could be positive, right? But how would you argue that they impact the mental health of black men?
I think it creates a barrier around possibility. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really do feel like it's kind of like I use this analogy all the time. If it's raining outside and you got an umbrella, but it's locked in the closet or locked in the trunk, like, do you have an umbrella? Like, if you can't get to that mug, like if it's locked in the closet, locked in the trunk, and it's raining, pouring raining outside, and you know you got an umbrella, but it's in the closet or in the trunk, do you have an umbrella?
No.
No, you don't have an umbrella. You don't have shit.
Yeah.
Right? Because there is a barrier. There is something impenetrable. There is something that is keeping you away from the very thing you know you have, the very thing you know you need, but you just can't kind of get to it. And so that's how I look like at men's mental health. Niggas be knowing they need to cry. Niggas be knowing they need a minute. Niggas be knowing when they need to, you know what I'm saying? When something's not true to themselves or true to who they really are, or they don't really, you know what I'm saying? But they are being forced in a bunch of different ways and being kept away from in others, from the things that they need to really be confident in the people they need to be. You know what I'm saying? And the barrier, the lock, if you will, the lack of a key. Who took the key and threw it in the river? Nigga, masculinity did. You know what I'm saying? Like, because either they've internalized what they've been told over time about how they ought to think, how they ought to feel, how they ought to behave in this world. And they, you know what I'm saying? They have taken that as true and won't allow themselves to feel they need the things they need to feel or express the things they need to express. Or they go off the deep end with it. They don't have a metric to regulate it. There's no understanding of it. So then you do wild shit like kill your whole family and kill the people down the street and go. It was a man having a mental health break in LA who just got arrested and I think got 10 counts of attempted murder. I think he killed someone just because he had a gun, just shooting at the streets. And I don't want to delve too far into, you know, the particularities of mental health issues, because that is clearly not your just common case of loneliness, depression, anxiety, sadness. But there was breadcrumbs to those moments, right? There was pieces. There was a lack of opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And so to help him, to help people who struggle with the worst parts of mental health issues, you know what I'm saying? And so when I think about men's mental health, I think about the way that men have been posited to leave families. I think about masculinity and the ways that it discourages some of those things. I think about the homelessness crisis and how many of those people who are homeless because they have mental health issues that have not been grappled with or dealt with. Right. I think about the amount of families who, you know, we deal with domestic violence issues. We watching a Diddy on TV, and for every Diddy we get to watch on CCTV, it's a bunch of them down the street, around the corner, in your family, your cousin, your friend, your homie that is beating the fuck out of somebody. And you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's so, when we think about men's mental health and we think about masculinity, we see the tentacles of it in so many other components of our social makeup. And this is not to say women are perfect. Women's prisons exist. Women's sexual offenders exist. Women.
Like, this conversation is about men's mental health.
Exactly. But as a woman, I want to kind of, I guess, give credibility to why I'm speaking with such bravado in this particular instance, and that's just because we can see the clear connections between the ways men think about and understand themselves and proximity to themselves and others, the way that those things register on a mental health level, a lack of access to help and resources to regulate some of those things, and the components of our society that we don't like very much. It's there are connections there.
But even getting to, just to piggyback off what you're saying, right, to answer the question, even getting to the idea that these things that we have access to, that we should utilize them. You feel me? Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest. The thing that men need to do the most when it comes to notions of manhood and masculinity is not give a fuck.
Hmm.
Straight up.
Which is
Who
what I thought y'all were already doing.
no,
So
no, 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 no. Like, let's be real. Let's be real. Let's be real. Men care about if whether or not other men see them as men more than women care about each other's nails. That's keeping it a stack. Like, think about it. Nipsey died because he challenged the nigga manhood, called him a snitch in front of the block.
mm-hmm.
That's challenging my manhood. Calling
Yeah.
a nigga a bitch. Niggas have died because a nigga called him a bitch and they felt like that was something that challenged my manhood. You
Absolutely.
feel me? Like, so we have to stop giving a fuck. Who cares if a nigga think that because you listen to certain like one thing that niggas be going in about is like it's like R&B music. Who gives a fuck if niggas think like, nigga, you listen to R&B, you listen to that soft shit? Yes, nigga. Yes. You
Yeah.
feel me? Like I'm gonna take it a step further. Who gives a fuck if you can't beat if you don't think you can beat this other nigga in a fight? I probably can't, but I also don't have to fight this nigga.
That
You feel me? Who gives a fuck about any of this shit? Because a lot of this, the most of the people that men are giving power to define them and what it is that they represent don't give a fuck about them.
that
Could really care less. But I gotta prove something to a bunch of niggas that at the end of the day, if I was on my last dime and I had to feed my child, would not be there to help me do that.
my lord.
And then would look at me and say, you less of a man for even wanting to ask for help. How many niggas is homeless for not being able to ask for help?
That's what DMG the poet said, and the same dude that'll put his friends before another woman will lose his mind if she puts anybody before him, because we're taught that selfishness is a part of being masculine, right? That you got to look out for yourself, that you only be about your. These are all, and then you wonder why you're lonely, right? And then you wonder why you get left. You know
But
what
you
I'm saying? What's
selfish.
good, Emmanuel? What's good? What's good?
But niggas end up being selfish about everything other than their own fucking state of mind.
Yeah, yeah. Come on, come on. That's the
Yeah, oh
word.
yeah, like yeah, when it come to hey, like you can't fuck with nobody but me, but I'm gonna do all of this. You know what I'm saying? Like shit, I'm gonna get over, you feel me? Because I can. And I'm gonna do all of this. And so when it comes to taking, to display your masculinity, you ain't got no problem doing that. But when it comes to sitting back and just letting them tears roll down instead of hurting somebody, you would rather put yourself in harm's way and somebody else in harm's way than allowing yourself to cry. Fuck
Yeah,
these niggas.
yeah. Because that would be the case any other time. That's why it was so beautiful. I will say this, man, and it was great to see. I have to point out a positive moment, um, in Black masculinity. And the ways that Black men showed up is that it was this Black man on Twitter, or I'm sorry, on TikTok, and the TikTok ended up on Twitter, because I ended up actually seeing it on TikTok itself, and the TikTok was like this man that was like, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm just my baby got the honor roll and she killing it, and I just got back from her school or award ceremony. I had to wait till she wasn't around, and he was just so overcome with emotion because his child was achieving and accomplishing and surpassing what he ever thought was possible, and probably what he achieved for himself at that age. And Gang was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be crying on here, this, that, and the other. And everybody was like, nah, bro, you gotta let them fall. Like, you gotta go crazy off of that.
You should have did it in front of your daughter to let her see how powerful her success is to you. She not gonna think less of her daddy because he crying. Like that's the bullshit. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
it's the
saying?
it's the moment to be celebrated, but even in that moment, it's the bullshit. Like,
Yeah, like
better go ahead, my bad.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Better Future been in here talking to us, referring to like these types of moments, but also just ways to really understand the conversation. It's more of a self analysis to better improve our self being, from what I can understand it, and that's exactly what it is. Like, know yourself and tell the truth to yourself, right? If you are standing on what you standing on and you are who you are, you know what I'm saying? You should be confident in the ability to feel pain, to feel tears, to bounce back from that, to push through those emotions. You know what I'm saying? To really go from feeling like nothing to feeling like everything. I thought that was the big part of the power of being a man is that you overcome. You know what I'm saying? But how do you do that if you cut yourself out of having some of those more vulnerable moments where you didn't really think you was gonna pull that shit through and you express it like the human being that you are?
Like a fucking person, bro.
Like
Niggas,
a
like
person.
niggas are not allowed to be people. They just not. And the sad thing about it is, as much as because like if we just talking about just internally with just men, it's our fucking fault.
Yeah.
It's our fucking fault. We could take a step back and be like, shit, I don't have nothing to prove. As long as I got the people that fuck with me, I got this. How is it that you know what I'm saying? Like I'm willing to stand on all this other shit, but I can't stand on I'm a man regardless of whether or not I fit within, you know what I'm saying, within your framework.
Well, take a look at this. Peaches say, I went on a date and the man just said he can't be with someone who's not approved by his friends and colleagues. And so those moments like that blow my mind because it is demonstration of hardcore proof is probably cool and as hardcore as he sound like saying that shit, that you really are a weakling. You know what I'm saying? That you can't do nothing without the validation, that you live and work for the validation of other men. A great prime example. When I was in college, I watched a documentary on toxic masculinity or like masculinities and the violence that could be connected to them. And one of the points that, and I forget what's his name, Mike Katz was the psychologist who was talking about this. But he was like, you know, homoeroticism, which is a whole nother direction of this, but it's a real thing. So when you got, this is back when 50 Cent was in the club and he had the, you know, utility vest on and the special G unit tank tops and this,
whole shirt off. Niggas just,
listen,
and then niggas is in the crowd. Yeah.
You love that shit. You can't wait to watch the muscles on that big boy come in there. And you don't want to say it like that, but you watch it. It's the same thing. And I hate to say it because I'm going to break some hearts with this, baby. But if you like porn, I'm sorry, you just a human being watching and appreciating what the human body can do. And that particular human body that you are appreciating for some of those moments of there, it belongs to a man.
Hey,
right?
You know,
like
the crazy thing about it is, especially in this conversation about mental health, like once it gets into sex, then the shit just goes, you know what I'm saying? It goes all the way out the window. Because
bottom line of it is we use our bodies to impress each other as human beings. So like men, you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not precluded from caring about what other people think or being involved or being invested in what other men do, or, you know, like being fascinated or even impressed or charmed by some of that shit, because like, it's the truth. You can't even go on a date without somebody, without saying I can need my friends and other people to co-sign. This is the logic. It all kind of strings itself together, the truths that men don't want to come to terms with. And that kind of stops you from going to the next level or whatever the hell you're trying to do. It's the weirdest thing.
See, that's what I'm saying. I can't even have that conversation with you. Like, you making me uncomfortable, even just how you bringing shit up. And I mean, because it's this stuff, and that's why I say I'm proved in the motherfucker. Like, I'm proved.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
I'm proved to the bitch.
The plug is definitely one of these. Definitely one of those.
I mean, but that's just because, again, like, I feel like even when like niggas is like, when it comes to like talking about sexual conquest and all that other shit, it's just like, bro, I don't care who you fucking, like, like who that is, you know what I'm saying? Me and my niggas have our but then it's just like the older you get, the more you kind of realize like a lot of this shit is just because, and I mean, I'll admit, I wanted to impress my friends. Like, I wanted to be a nigga like the niggas, but a nigga like me, like, I'm so motherfucking different. Like, I was always the different nigga, so I had to be cool with that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't be like, nigga, like, all right, I'm trying to, like, and this is just, again, like, I'm lucky that I had the type of support system, you feel me? But like, nigga, not being able to make the basketball team when everybody was making the basketball team. Hold on, Toya, not even get a chance to try out. The day of tryouts for 2 years straight at Sligo High School, the day of tryouts, I got sick. I'm talking about, I'm in the hallway throwing up. They like, I'm begging, please let me stay. The tryouts is today. Please let me stay. They like, you have to go home. That happened.
That's terrible luck.
That happened 2 years in a row. And all my niggas is on the basketball team. All my niggas is on the basketball team.
Now imagine how you made it feel.
You feel me? Like, so in my mind, it's like I'm not like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not one of the niggas. Like I'm not a part of, I'm not reflecting myself. I'm outside of all of that. You feel me?
And that's what
So
Better Future just said in relationship. I don't even know if it was directly here, but I think this point bodes true. Failed approval makes men feel like they're doing something wrong instead of being subject to the will of your body and biology, or just having fucked up luck. Now you feel like,
this
man,
man
well, I
said
can't be one
sports wasn't in the cards.
of it didn't look, and look, a nationally renowned debater,
Yeah.
political enthusiast and scholar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And shout out to Emmanuel. Look, I was just telling the truth about how these little bodies be working. I didn't mean no harm with it, but I did want to be honest about the ways that men so masterfully and so powerfully dictate the direction, the order, the contours, the
Except for
depth
themselves.
of so much, except
Yeah.
for themselves,
Except for themselves. So
for sure.
um to round this out, like I guess I'll repeat it. I'll let you say your piece and then I'll say the last word. And we could go ahead and get it cracking.
Start small, y'all. If you are invested in men's mental health, and I mean this as men towards other men, and also women who just want to find an opportunity to love on a black man, love on a black masculine individual, a black trans man, a black non-binary well, I won't say non-binary because they wouldn't be men or masculine in that point, but find people to love on who identify and align themselves with certain components of masculinity, right? A lot of people are non-binary because they see themselves on both sides of that spectrum. And so just interrogate. And if there are men to be loved on, if there's mental health to be uplifted, if there is just somebody to check in on, like I feel like one of the things I wanted to say in relationships was something we were saying earlier, but I didn't, was that I think a lot of men honestly don't. Not because they're bad people, they don't really embrace or explore men's mental health. It's just because they don't know how to. Like, it's very easy to say be there for a friend, but like, nigga, I'm there for you when that girl acting crazy. I'm here for you. Your car is kind of broke down, but like surgeries, hospitals, deaths, future children, like, nigga, what am I supposed to do? What can I do for you? And sometimes, I mean, until you grow the emotional muscle to ask some of those deeper questions, just go sit with that nigga. Like, just, I am intentionally acknowledging that something's going on in your life. I don't know if you want to talk about it. I'm gonna be honest, if I'm not that, but I do want to sit with you. I do want to bring you something to eat real quick. I wouldn't mind, you know what I'm saying, if that's cool. I think in those moments, because I've had women and people just extend that friendship to me, and then they leave, and I'm like, it's a lot of truths about my situation, but one truth that one lie I can't tell was that I was by myself. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it hurt. It pissed me off. It's going to be a long road to get out of this situation. I can't believe it happened to me. But one lie I can't tell is that didn't nobody come. Maybe did not a lot of people, but me came. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's some shit that, like, is just a fact of the situation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, sometimes I think in your mind you want to come and fix it. And come in, and if you can't do that, then what is your purpose? And it's so much deeper and bigger than that. And so I just think, if anything, if I could just tell people in general, but also guys in particular for this month, it's just like, it ain't got to be that deep, fam. You thinking too hard about what that shit got to look like. Hey, I'm just thinking about you. Let me know if you want to tap in or talk type text. It kind of let you off the hook in a minute. Like, I sent it. I did it. I did my friend thing. I don't know how they're going to take it. And I probably could have went harder, but this is what I got. And let the record show. And then we'll judge, you know what I'm saying, if that was good enough later. But nothing is crazy, because I dare to believe that young man in that hospital was just like, nothing, niggas? Nothing?
Like, nothing, nigga, not a text.
Nothing?
That's crazy.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's where it gets sticky. So I'm just saying, it can be overwhelming to find a way to be there for each other, to build community, to break these bad habits. But it don't take that much. It's easier than you think it is.
Way easy. So two things as we close out. I'll take the last word. First, Anthony Bourdain, like a man who traveled the world, like was not enclosed in any particular walls, but got paid beautiful money to travel the world, to eat the most exotic foods, the greatest prepared foods, to engage in so many different cultures and like take in so much just of life. Took his own life. The thing that we got to understand is that, like, no matter what's happening around us, if what's happening internally ain't worked on, ain't fixed, isn't catered to, at the bare minimum, like to a lot of people, like that we've seen the Kate, even recently, like the Kate Spades of the world and the Anthony Bourdain's, life still ain't worth living.
Robin Williams,
Robin Williams, yes,
the one
Robin
making
Williams.
everybody else laugh, the one with the joy, the one who
Right.
cut it on and cut it off in a heartbeat, and how you doubled over in 2 seconds, decided
Right.
it wasn't enough to be here.
Seeing all the money he could see, was one of the most revered, respected comedians in the history of Hollywood, and didn't want, and because of his ailment, just didn't want to keep living like that. And so it's like, we have to take life way more serious. Just this, the life that we live, not the life that we want to live, not the life that we think we should live, but just like every single day that we wake up and get to breathe on this motherfucker, like we have to take serious. You know what I'm saying? And it starts with giving a fuck about yourself. And that's why the second thing is, especially to men, black men, especially black men on fucking YouTube, stop giving a fuck about what random strangers, about people you've never met, about motherfuckers that will never meet, people that don't give a fuck about you. Stop giving a fuck what they think about you as a man. If that's what you call yourself, that's what you are. As long as you are living a respectful life, living a life that's building, living a life that's growing, living a life that's feeding into the people that's feeding into you, you a man. Period. All these other notions of manhood that people have tried to that people try to inscribe and try to enforce, fuck that shit. If they not paying your bills, if they not feeding your kids, if they not taking care of your loved ones, if they ain't calling and checking on your mama, if they ain't, asking you how your grandma doing, fuck them.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck them. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we all have to live our own fucking lives. And the amount of influence that we give other people into how we live our shit limits us living our life to the fullest.
That's a word.
You feel me? So, hey, hug on the niggas that y'all care about. You know what I'm saying? Check on them. Make sure they straight. You feel me? Hey, just like Toya said, the shit a lot easier than we give it credit for, or than we think it is. And so just take that little bit of time to show a nigga that you care.
That's it.
Yeah, with that being said, man, thank everybody that was able to join us. Andrea, Better Future, Miss Ma'am, DMG, Emmanuel, Donnell, Peaches, and then J Universe. If I missed anybody, man, my apologies. But had to get this off. We're going to see y'all next time. Toya got some celebrating and some birthday to do. So it may be a little minute before y'all see both of us again, but
hey, we still next week looking good. Don't give up on me yet.
Okay,
just know,
okay.
Just know when the train slow down, because y'all know it never stops. Just know, we doing some birthday vibes. But until then, man, I love y'all. And we're gonna figure it out. Like I said, we're gonna try to be back next week for sure. So stay on the lookout, hit that bell so that you don't miss it. Hey, it's a chop up. We out.
It's a chop up. We out. See y'all next time.
Yeah.
1 hour, 10 minutes. Or 1 hour, 8 minutes.
I'll take it.